coming up next on The Health Hustle.
I think it's the pendulum effect, right? I think that's just like a really important reminder for a lot of people, is that so often when we swing the pendulum very, very, very hard in that other direction of like pain, suffering, and a divorce that you went through and all the challenges that come with that, is that you just wait for the ride to shift back into the opposite direction.
Yeah.
If you can weather the storm.
You can. Right. Everyone can weather the storm. You just have to tell yourself that you can.
Totally.
And man, like it's hard. Like I can't explain how hard it is. Like it was the hardest thing I've ever been through.
Totally.
And I just said the same thing. I can't explain it. But like you can. Like I am proof right there that like I've never been that low. I've never had the thoughts that I had in my head during that time frame. But here we are a mere 4 months later, and I'm living the best time of my life. Just so all of you know, this happened in February. In April, I decided to run the BPN Marathon, and I won it. And then 6 days later, I did Ironman Texas, where I PR'd the Ironman, which means personal record, which means I ran the Ironman faster than I ever ran it in my entire life. And I did that in the same week. I would have never known that I was capable of that if I would have never made it through that traumatic event. One foot in front of the other, baby.
What's up, y'all? Corey here. And in this episode, I had a chance to sit down with somebody who's become a good friend of mine. His name is Matt Johnson. He's 28 years old, spent 10 years in the military, recently went through a divorce, which if you know anything about my story, it's something that I can very much so relate with, and finds himself now in the great city of Austin, Texas, doing coaching and running all these crazy races. Some of them in particular are, he does a lot of ultra running, Ironmans, he's qualified for the Boston, and he actually used to professionally race cars, which is a total side tangent that we sort of get into. Some of the things that we get into on this episode though are why nobody wears shirts in Texas, the challenge of growing up very poor, building mental fortitude, the book that literally changed his life, his first ever endurance race, how he grew his social media following to as large as it is now, the Leadville 100, which is basically the Super Bowl of ultra endurance athlete races, defining failure, getting into coaching himself, putting one foot in front of the other, and so much more. One last thing, if you're a health or fitness professional and you're having difficulties getting leads, one of the most common reasons that I see this is not having a well-defined niche. If you go to the link in the description, I have a free 3-step process that walks you through exactly how to get clarity on which niche is best suited for you and your business. Without further ado, let's go.
Matt Johnson, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here. This is my first in-person sit-down podcast.
This is the only way I'll do it.
I mean, I feel very connected to you right now.
Yeah.
Like
that's why I started doing it like this. When I first started the show some 100+ episodes ago, I was doing a lot of them online Zoom style. It wasn't fun for me. I didn't get a lot of joy out of it. I didn't really feel like I was making a connection and engaging with somebody. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm never doing it again. And I've done them all in person ever since.
Yeah. I've done, this will be my 4th. I've done 3 online. One with a smaller podcast, one with a little bit bigger one, and then the most recent one with Joe Rinaldi. And Joe's great. Like that was the best podcast. Yeah. But I do remember like I was sitting on the the Mac and talking to him, and it's just different. You know, like he had the mic set up like you do, and like, it was super cool. But I'm like, man, like it'd be so cool. I've only met Joe in person one time. He's a BPN athlete, and I'm like, dude, it'd be so cool just to form that connection. Because like we're sitting here in Austin in a beautiful place right off of West 6. Mm-hmm. Like this is so cool. This is so Texas.
Yeah, it was it Endure? I think it's Endure something.
Yes, yeah, Project Endure.
It was actually a great interview. He did a really good job.
Yeah, Joe's very good, and we can just like with him, like it was able to just flow. Like I would say something, and his next question is every time that he would ask me something, I'd be like, dude, that's such a great question.
So a word that comes to mind when I think of you, Matt, is send it. And so, because you are the ultimate definition of, just so anybody listening, prior to recording, we were talking to Tanner Friesen here, another buddy here in Austin, who's also a guy that can send it. And you guys were just hashing out some stories, and I was sitting there just like reminiscing on the fact of like That's cool. I don't want to do any of that.
Yeah. And that was a guy, like every time that we'd say something, it was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, my ankle's broken. Fuck it. Like, yeah, 100%.
So I want to dig into that just a little bit because I can't imagine you were always like that. But I would be curious as to like, where do you feel like a lot of that mentality comes from? And like, I kind of want to just like really tap into maybe early childhood stuff. Like, is there certain things growing up? I know you grew up relatively not that wealthy and like trailer home type stuff, single mom.
Yeah.
So I know there's some challenges in that. I feel like, is there things that maybe you feel like you carry from that here today?
Yeah, I definitely do. And that's honestly something that I've never talked about. And, going on the Project Endure podcast, which is, I'll bring this back to my mother. I called her. My mom's my best friend. And the biggest thing is that she was 18 when I was born. And as she raised me as a single mother, as you said, like we became friends. Like, once I hit, 15, 16, 17, like, it was hard for me to, I was a shit kid. Like, and I was not a great kid. And, my mom and I ended up turning into friends, and which is, it's a good and a bad thing. But, I think I do carry a lot, from my childhood past. My dad was never there. And, my mom was, going from, she had 2 to 3 jobs just to barely make enough money so that she could eat. And, I was always fed. I always had everything I needed. I promise you that. My mom made sure if I wanted it, I got it. It didn't matter if she had $50 in the bank account and I went in and I'm like, I want that $49, Toys R Us Power Ranger special. I'm taking it home and she's going to find out a way to make that $49 back.
Damn.
And, maybe my mom and I are very similar and we just have different outlets. And, because my mom, I like the phrase, I love the phrase, do hard things. And my mom did that by working 3 jobs, by making sure that I had the shit that I needed. And, maybe, I don't know what her outlet was, but, maybe it's just me finding that, that same outlet that she had of just, continuing on and doing things like that. And I
feel like the word that comes to mind for me is grit. I feel like she really taught you grit, taught you how to just do, as you said, the hard things. Because like hard things, I like that expression as well. I think that sometimes people have a skewed perception of it, and they think hard things is sauna and ice plunge and endurance athletic adventures. But like hard things is relative.
Yeah. And that's something that I've actually spoke about before is, your hard things, and like we just had this conversation, right? Your hard things are going to be different than my hard things.
Totally.
Like my hard things are going and running 100 miles. Your hard things is, that's going to be seeing you out.
Stand-up comedy.
Yeah. Or, seeing you out at, it's 95 degrees and here I find you shirtless doing pull-ups at Auditorium Shores randomly, and you're sweating your ass off and you're like, yeah, dude, I love this out here. Like, that's something that I wouldn't go do that.
Totally.
But, that might be something that's hard for you.
Totally.
So, yeah, man, like.
I love that you pointed out that I was shirtless, though. People love to call me out about that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. No, here's the thing. Let's dive into this real quick. Squatch.
Yeah.
Right? Squatch is like, it's just all these fit, shirtless people walking around. And I told my friend that just came down, Jack, shout out to you, Jack. I hope you listen to this. Jack he's on a adventure of doing a fitness something every weekend in the month of June. So he did this battle bunker, which is this, whatever it is, this, I don't know, CrossFit, maybe I'm misspeaking, type of workout. And then he's doing a bodybuilding show this weekend. And then next weekend, he's doing another thing. And then he's ending it with a full Ironman. He's traveling all the way across the country in this white pedo van. And like, it's super sick. But going with that is Jack came down from Jersey.
He did a powerlifting thing too, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. That was the first one.
Yeah.
But Jack came down from Jersey. Sorry, I get way off topic.
You're good.
Jack came down from Jersey, and we were going to Squatch today. And I get in the truck, and I'm shirtless. And he's like, "Oh, no shirts?" I'm like, dude, this is Austin, Texas. Like no one. I found out like I don't even need shirts, and it's so damn hot here. Like that, I throw my shirts away. It don't matter. Like I don't even need them in the mornings. Like, you know, like this place is hot. This is so hot down here. Like I'm just sitting here sweating right now. I can't even drink water. I'm a big beer guy. Love beer. Can't even drink beer right now because I can't even get enough water in. Like, Austin, you're changing me.
I agree. I think shirts are optional for men and women for sure.
Dude, shirts are definitely optional for women because I was down at Barton today right before I came here.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm like, hey, yo, something here does not fit in.
Which is funny about this though. I was leaving LA Fitness. This was probably a few weeks ago, and I had just done like a really intense like HIIT workout. Got out of the sauna. Like sweating my ass off, right? And I didn't put a shirt on. Of course I didn't. Yeah. And I was just like walking out of the gym, and the guy like towards the front desk, he's like, "Hey, you got to wear a shirt in here." And I looked at him and I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Yes. I walked into a gas station, the same thing. Like and no, all right, maybe okay, all right, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But,
you can go anywhere shirtless.
Hear me out. All I had to do was pay for my gas. Like I got gas. I just left the gym. I didn't have a shirt on. I walked in. The counter's right there. Bam, quick left counter, and did a quick left. And the lady's like, just looking at me with all this sass, and I'm not confused. You know, like I'm from Iowa, but like I've developed this Austin, Texas like sense of no shirts now. Like,
totally.
like you know, and I just like look at her like I'm holding my phone like I'm gonna tap it, and she's like, you need a shirt on to do that. And I'm like, oh, just let me pay for my gas.
I'll take 5 seconds.
Yeah, you know, tap, tap, bam. See ya.
Well, what do you need?
So there I had to go. I had to turn around and go put this shirt on and put myself to shame. And they're just projecting their own stuff onto you, man. I just want you to know that. I know,
it's
man.
never actually about you. It's always about them. Even what you were talking about earlier before we started recording about getting a bunch of hate as of lately about the double Murph that you did.
Yeah.
Of like, that's just projections of them onto you, man. It's never about you. I think that's important to remember for anybody out there creating content.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like we talked about, like people, they're projecting, but also, like I told you, like I dove into this this rabbit hole with my buddy Luke Hopkins, and talking with him as I'm like, you know, what do people do that aren't entrepreneurs, business owners, fitness crazy people like we are, right? Like we're not, like we don't think we're crazy, but people that look at us think we're crazy. Yep. So going on to that is like people have so much time on their hands. Like, oh, I have no time. I don't have time to scroll through. Like I'll hit the TikTok, the TikTok. Like I like that. It's going to be like when I'm in bed, quick 10 seconds, give me a little bit of dopamine, night. Not at, you know, like having this first like legitly viral reel on Instagram and having it like people are just commenting. It's every 10 seconds. Pop, 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 pop. I'm like, what are you guys doing? You know, like every time I'll get on Instagram, you know, I mean, I get on Instagram way too much. Maybe it's like once an hour. And I'll pop up and it'll be like 37 comments, 295 likes and 50 follows. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, and that's like, you know, that's throughout the day.
Totally, dude.
And so it's just, you know, people have way too much time on their hands. So go get a hobby.
I went on a rant on my 100th episode about that exact same concept of when people tell me that they're bored, it's one of my biggest triggers. It's like, how are you bored? There are so many incredible, amazing things that you could be doing. There's so many things I want to spend my time doing. There's so many cool people I want to talk to and things I want to pursue and places I want to go. Like when people, not that you're never bored. I spend a lot of time meditating. I spend a lot of time alone. I'll go on a walk.
Yeah.
Like I have moments where like I'm not like super jazzed up.
Yeah.
But just the idea of being like, oh, I'm bored. Man, does that make me want to punch you in the face.
Are you a nap guy?
No.
No naps?
No.
I'm really not a nap guy. Now, sometimes I'll nap. Like if I do a long run, like I'm talking like 20, 30 miles, I might catch a nap. Like there's something about like long runs and then eating food, and it's like, dude, like I could catch a
Nothing against naps. I just don't do it.
For sure. But with that being said, like people that'll just like nap during the day, and like I can't even sit on the couch, like, you know. But like, I mean, this is like just normal. Like not after my long run, not after this stupid crazy stuff I do. Like I can't just sit on the couch. And like I had a friend over at the house, and she's just like, oh, let's sit on the couch and hang out. I'm like, it is 3:00 in the afternoon. Like, let's go do something. Like,
I have a dog named Ash that needs to run.
Exactly,
Let's go.
100%. You know, and that's something that, you know, I take pride in, and you know, I love, like, I'm busy. Like, I will keep myself busy to where even people are like, you need to chill out. But like, you know, I'll wake up, I'll work, I'll go for a run, I'll come home, I'll eat lunch, I'll work a little bit more, I'll go to the gym, I'll come home, I'll eat again. And then, you know, prepping for these big races this fall, then like my evening routine has been throwing on the weighted vest and going out to the Barton Trail and just doing like a run walk for like an hour and a half. And, you know, I mean, that's probably like some like, you know, toxic coping mechanism or something. But, you know, I mean, it's just, I like to stay busy. And then like by that point, it's 8:00. I sit down, I eat dinner, and I'm in bed at 9. And I love it. I love that. It's kind of hard to navigate sometimes though, because I don't have a lot of friends. And, you know, like,
your friend is the dog on the trail.
Yeah, exactly. Ash and I are best friends, but like sometimes,
for the record, anybody listening, it's part Blue Heeler, part Australian Shepherd. And the first time I saw it was at Auditorium Shores, and I was like, I need your dog. That thing is fucking awesome.
He's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
So about Ash, he was a farm dog. Like, literally found him on a farm. He was $40. Bought him, took him home. Worst dog in the world. Worst puppy I've ever had. And
I would hope so for $40.
Chewing up walls. Like, you know, just dog was, no, I was like, this dog needs to be on a farm. Like, this is terrible. Never gave up on him. Fast forward, long story short, he's now a service dog. He does not walk on a leash. He will never be leashed unless I'm going in to eat somewhere. And he will follow me to the end of the earth.
And he has to wear a shirt if he goes inside.
And if he goes to the gas station, I got to put a shirt on.
I'm just kidding. So let's pull back a little bit. So I know, interesting upbringing, single mom, bit of a challenging situation. Can we fast forward that story a little bit? So like maybe let's tap into post high school, those days of like, this is when you got into the military, correct?
Yeah. So, well, there was a little bit of a break in there.
Okay.
Biggest thing for me that really sucked was, you know, I grew up, like we'd already talked. So I grew up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Go Hogs. Love the Razorbacks. Born in Iowa, grew up in Arkansas. Okay. Now we're back to Iowa again. There's so much more story in there that Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, Arkansas, all these states are involved. Long story short, grew up in Arkansas, ended back up in Iowa. So when I was in Arkansas and I was growing up and I was going into elementary, middle school, junior high, into high school, I was going to go to the University of Arkansas. I was going to go to college. And I was so pumped. It was so prestigious. Like, I couldn't wait. And then I moved back to the boonies where I was born, into the middle of the cornfield. I love my small town, but the standard is not college. And I was convinced by all of my friends that, you know, we don't go to college. College is a waste of money. So I conformed, and I never took the SAT, never took the ACT. I decided we got back to Iowa at the end of my junior year. I decided at the end of my junior year, my senior year, I was like, I'm not going to college. So I got a job at a factory. I worked at 3M right out of high school and making tape. That was like, you know, I mean, that was the norm. Like you went, you got a job at a factory, you came home. It didn't matter if you were 18, 19, 20. You drank beer all the time, drank beer on the weekends, and then you went to work and you partied on the weekends, and you know, it's clockwork, right? Do it all over again. Right back, Sunday to Sunday. Here we go. And there was just one day that I remember I got fired from 3M just because I was probably a shit. Like, I really don't remember. It was 10 years ago, but I got fired from 3M. And I was like, this isn't it. Like, this, you know, that was my very first time I was ever like, there's something more for me. Like, I'm meant for more than this. And the Iowa National Guard is very prestigious in Iowa. The Iowa Guard is very high held in the National Guard as a whole. And so, yeah, so straight up, long story short there, I got on the computer, found out about the Guard, joined up probably after that first summer. Like, I had about 2 or 3 jobs that summer working at factories. And joined the Guard, came back from basic training, joined the National Guard because I was a mama's boy. Didn't want to leave mom. Looking back now, I wish I probably would have went active duty, but that's okay. But I came back. I got an active duty job, and was active duty within the National Guard there at Camp Dodge, and we made that move to Virginia, stationed out there in Virginia as a recruiter, up until this point.
Did you enjoy your time in the military?
No.
Okay. That's a fair answer.
That's the honest answer. I enjoyed the people I met. I enjoyed my friends. I enjoyed the moments where you think back where you're laying in, a random hole in the desert in the middle of California for no reason at all. That's literally doing nothing to help anyone. And you're like, 20 years old smoking cigs and have no idea what you're going to do with your life. I miss those moments, and anything more than that. No, I miss my friends. I miss the moments.
There was a small window of time where I almost joined the military. I'm really glad that I didn't because I'm an incredibly disagreeable person and I don't think I would have lasted very long. But I will say if there's one thing that I think the military does right and has done right, and I've taken from my own lessons from just the military in general, from never being in it, is that doing hard shit together bonds people, and I think that we need to do more of that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I agree with you. It's the camaraderie and building up those friendships. Like I still have friends that we went and did some really sucky stuff together, and that you would never think of. I mean, I have friends that are 50 years old, that I was served in the military with when I was 19, and like best friends, like relationships that are bonded like that. I mean, I was 19 years old, bossing around 40-year-olds, I mean, I was good. Once I got it in the military, I was good at what I did. And, that was a good part. But the biggest thing for me was, once I became 24, probably 24-ish, 23, 24, I really started to like I wanted to be me. And, I don't even know what that means right now, but I was being told where I needed to be, when I needed to be there, how I needed to dress, who I needed to talk to, how I needed to talk, how I needed to stand. And I didn't want to do it no more. I'm very thankful for my service. I love my country. And if it came down tomorrow where I needed to go somewhere and take care of business, I will be the first one to step forward. I promise you that. 100%, no questions asked. I will go right back if I'm needed.
Totally.
But I don't want to. When it's my choice, I do not want to. But don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. I will be the first one out there so that someone else doesn't have to go. I promise you that.
The sad thing about that statement is that you would probably have to be. I think I read recently that I think it's like 70+% or something of Americans aren't even actually fit or healthy enough to even be able to go into the military even if they wanted to.
Yeah, but here's the thing, even there are some not fit people in the US military. I mean, so I competed for the National Guard. Like I traveled and competed for the National Guard in endurance competitions in 2021 when I wasn't even I can't imagine if I was to compete now, it'd be nuts.
Yeah, you'd dominate.
It would be insane.
Wouldn't even be close.
I was just getting started in 2021. I was just really finding the fitness and trying to, mess with the aerobic and anaerobic heart rates in the building, and I had no knowledge on anything. And, with that being said, yeah, I agree with that for sure. But don't once again, don't get it twisted. You can get some fat bodies in the military, and there's plenty of people that come to mind, and they're deployed. Like they will deploy just like that. They will deploy unfit. My unit is deployed right now.
That's a risk for everybody involved.
Yeah, my unit is deployed right now. There's a handful of unfit people that I could just name drop right now where I'm like, I know that they're still not fit. But they're doing it and other people aren't. So it is what it is. But there definitely needs to be a higher standard held in our military because that was another reason why I got out. There's just too much crazy stuff happening right now.
Well, I mean, just to piggyback off that too, and we don't have to get too deep into this, but like, I think, yes, there should be a standard, but at the same time, I feel like the standard has been set so low because they're probably desperate to get bodies in there, because the barrier of like how healthy the general American is so horrendous.
Well, but yes, yeah, but here's another thing. Let's not even talk about health and fitness. Like, so my last job in the military was a recruiter. If you have been on any type of medication in the past year, you're out.
Right.
If you have been prescribed medication in the past year, you cannot serve in the U.S. military.
Any medication.
If you have a tattoo below your wrist, you cannot serve in the U.S. Army. So here's the thing. If I want to serve in the Army, I can serve in the Navy. The Navy has different standards. If I want to serve in the Army, if I want to serve in the Marines, if I want to serve in the Coast Guard, this right here ain't happening.
He's pointing at his hand.
Oh, yeah,
tattoo,
sorry.
For the record.
Yeah. I have a tattoo on my entire right palm.
He does a dope tattoo. You're the second guy that I've interviewed today that is just tatted to the gills, and they all look dope.
I love it. It's art.
I know. I don't have a single one.
Everyone's like, "What's that mean?" And I'm like, "Honey, it hasn't had meaning since I was 19. I promise you." I told my mom right off the bat, I'm like, "Mom, this means something." And like the first 3 did. Then after that, I'm like, "I think that looks really sick. I'm gonna put that on my body."
Our minds work so different, bro. So I want to get into, I feel like this is leading us up to when you finally decided to go to my original statement of send it. So when did you first, okay, so just to give people context of this conversation, kind of where we're going with a lot of this stuff, is that I would argue from a mental fortitude standpoint, you're probably one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. And I'd be curious as to, like, as we go through this journey, when did that start?
I mean, I think that anyone that makes a decision to join the U.S. military is kind of has a little something off. So, I can kind of go back to that. But I wasn't this hard person. I wasn't supposed to be this hard person. I wasn't this hard person. Really, truly, like just one day, like I showed up to work, and there was a 2-mile track, and I ran 4 laps. I was like, that's 8 miles. I'm like, that was pretty cool. That was on a Monday. I did it again on Wednesday. Did it on Friday. Then I found this guy named David frickin' Goggins, and I listened to his book and all these hard things that he went through. His dad beat the shit out of his mom. His dad took his brother. His dad left. It was just him and his mom. Like, there were so many things that I heard in that book from David that, like, I could resonate with. Not having a father there, having a piece of shit father. My father was a druggie and took off. And, single mom. He became a fat body. I was a fat body once. No, not a lot of people know that. I was. I used to be, my heaviest weight, 172.
What do you weigh now?
139.
Okay, damn.
So, and that was probably like 2018, 2019.
Damn.
Yeah.
Had some weight on you,
Yeah,
huh, boy?
I was a little, like they called me to cast me in the Pillsbury commercial.
No kidding.
And turned down.
Damn, bro.
So yeah.
That's the route you should have got.
Exactly.
Pillsbury?
Yeah, man, you might as well.
Yeah, why are you doing all this long distance shit?
Exactly. I listened to Goggins, and that it kind of in my head, like, he was really the first one that was like, you don't need to be who people say you need to be, and you don't need to conform to everyone else's beliefs.
Can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Did you do any quote unquote personal development book reading prior to this book?
Bro, I haven't, like, I don't remember the last time I read a book. Okay. Like I listened to that. No, absolutely not. Like, okay. That was the first, I listened to that audiobook. That was the first book that I'd probably listened to, read or listened to since high school.
Why did you pick it up? Or listen to it, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know. I don't. I truly don't. Like, I have no idea. And I can't even say that I knew. Man, I wish I remembered why. I do. But I don't. I don't. I tried hard there. I don't.
Just curious, because I think most people have that, like, that book, podcast, whatever you want to, where it's like things change. And so
and it's definitely that book. Like that book changed my life.
Totally.
Like that book took me from the left path to the right path.
Totally.
And but I can't remember why. Like, I don't even remember how I even knew what Audible was, or like how I found, I don't remember knowing him before that.
It found you.
Yeah. That's cool. But, I listened to that book, and I just knew, like, after, hearing the shit that he had been through, like, I knew that, and this was the end of 2020, which seems like it's so long. I've had so much stuff happen in the past. Like, everything's just been so quick. Like, I just blew up and just became, like, I wish I would have known what I could be in high school.
Dude, your last 3 years have been bananas, which we're going to cover a fair piece of that.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
But, like, yeah, I mean, and it's been fast. Yeah. Like, as soon as I read that book, I was like, I don't have any more time to waste. Like, I got to go. And I think that's why people literally say that I do too much. But also, like, part of me thinks, like, I'm 28. I started doing this when I was 26. I wasted 10. I mean, what, prime? Like, you want to talk about, like, 14 years old? Like, you have all these track runners now that are setting records at 14, 15, 16 years old in high school, setting state records. Like, I missed 10 years. I have 10 years to make up as fast as I can. And I'm learning the hard way. I'm learning the very hard way. But I'm learning. And, I don't know. Maybe
I can relate, man. I feel the same way. So I'm a fair bit older than you. I'm 35. And I feel like probably not until within the last maybe, I don't know, I would say 5 years maybe, that I feel like I really, exactly to your point, feel like I started realizing my potential and the possibilities of the world and the universe and what I could do. And so, like, yeah, somebody who me figuring out at, we'll say 30 is like, I feel like that's a lot of years of my life that quote unquote feel wasted. I think that that's probably not the best mentality to have behind it.
I wouldn't really say like wasted, but like, I feel like you had things to learn within that time frame.
Totally.
Like, you definitely took things away from it, but I can definitely feel where, I definitely understand what you're saying, but yeah, definitely not wasted. Like we had things to learn.
Totally.
And if we were both meant to start what we're doing now back then, we would have done it.
Totally.
But also, like, it's the butterfly effect, right? Like, things probably would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd be a multimillionaire by now and life would be great. I don't know. I'd probably be sitting on a beach on Morocco retired.
But to that exact point, though, bro, is that the story wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, you
have to have a hell of a story to tell. Like, what is life? Like, what is life without a story to tell? Like, what are you gonna say? Like, hey,
everything went according to plan.
Yeah, like, hey, I went to high school and graduated, and then I went to Harvard, and then I became a lawyer and owned a house and had kids, and then they had kids, and then I died. Like,
it's the boringest book of all time.
Like, that's not a cool story. Like, and what sucks is, like, there might be people out there like, oh, no, like, that guy had a story. There's so many people in the world, like, someone lived that life.
Yeah.
Someone lived that exact life right there.
Yeah.
No, not me. Not me. I'm going to have, like, they will be telling some crazy shit at my funeral. Whenever that is, they're going to be saying, like, this dude is whack. Listen to this.
One of my favorite people of all time is Teddy Roosevelt, for that exact reason of all time. If no one's ever actually tapped into the biography of Teddy Roosevelt, you want to talk about a story, dude? That guy did everything from cattle ranching to war hero to president to everything in between. Like, wrote a book.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to write a bull.
Dude, name it. I bet you Teddy Roosevelt has done it, honestly. But so when was that moment then? So you read the book.
Yeah.
What was the first, like, all right, I'm going to send it excursion?
Yeah. So that was I think I started that book in October, and I was listening to it at the gym, and I was sitting in the sauna, and I was scrolling through my phone, and I found a race that was like in 12 hours.
12 hours?
Yeah, dude. It was like 7 p.m. And I found a race local to Des Moines where I lived that started at 7 a.m. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I want to do this. Like, that would be so sick. Like, I'll just race tomorrow. Mind you, I'm running maybe 24 miles a week, 3 runs a week. Give you a 4.
Yeah,
3 runs a week. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I go in, get into it, go through the phone, fill out all the information. I'm thinking it's like a half marathon or something. I get down to the very end. It's like 6-hour endurance run. And I'm like, hey, yo, like, okay, all right, okay. Like, that's cool, As I'm listening to this David Goggins book where he's like, don't do what I'm telling you I did. Do it different. Train. And I'm like, yeah, David, like, I got this, brother. and I went out to Gray's Lake. It's a 2-mile loop. And I bought actually, like I told you earlier, that night, like I signed up straight up. It's like $60. Got on my phone and literally typed in, I'm like, what to eat when you run really far. And I found honey stingers. So I went to Hy-Vee, which is you know what Hy-Vee is. Hy-Vee is the Midwest HEB, but 10 times better, and they have really good Chinese food.
Yeah.
So went to Hy-Vee, and I grabbed 30 honey stinger. Like I spent like $65 on these honey stingers.
They're waffles, right?
Yeah, like little waffles. And don't get me wrong, like they're really good.
Yeah, they're tasty.
I haven't had one in a while, but like I see them at the gas stations, and it like reminds me of that brutal moment in my life.
Yeah.
So go out to Gray's Lake, start running a loop, 2 miles, 4 miles, 6 miles, 8 miles, run. And no water, no nothing. Dude, I am in like, if you're a runner and you're listening to this, you're really going to understand like how wrong this is. I'm in like compression Under Armour underwear with like regular basketball shorts, a pair of Brooks shoes that I don't even know if they fit me right. Like I literally just went into like, and at that point in my life, I was like, I don't need help doing nothing. And I just went in and I'm like, I need a size 8 and I want that one, 9, 8, whatever, and I like grab it and I'm out the door. And so grab the shoe, out the door, show up in these Brooks, like I'm wearing cotton socks. I have on a crew neck, like, sweatshirt with a cotton t-shirt under it. My nipples were bloody by the time I was done. Like, this guy's whack. I wish I could just pull up a picture and you'd be like, dude, like, what the heck? So I start running, and through the race, I made it like 24, 25 miles. And my feet, I had never hurt that bad in my life. Like, I couldn't walk anymore. My mom and my grandma were there, both medical professionals. And they're like, you're done. Like, we're pulling the plug. You're not going anymore. So pulled the plug. That was it. Made it 24, 25 miles. I don't know. I have to look back.
That's a marathon, bro.
It's close.
Oh, wait,
it's very
26.3. Sorry.
Yeah, 26.2. It's close. But, I mean, but at that point, like, I didn't even know what a marathon was. So, like, I hit 24, 25, and I'm like, dude, like, I'm the greatest to ever live. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
Like, I was so hyped for myself. Like I walked away from there, and I was Thanos. Like, I was the Hulk. Like, I was Iron Man. Like, anything you could think of. Like, I'm walking away from that. Actually, I wasn't really.
Yeah, I was
walking.
gonna say you wheelchaired out of that.
Yeah, I was being carried, but. Yeah. Like when I, was on bed rest for the next 5 days, I felt awesome. Like, I felt really good about myself.
Mentally, not physically.
Yeah, not physically. It was rough. I mean, truly, like, all bullshit aside, like, I couldn't walk for like 4 or 5 days. Like, my feet were so destroyed.
What did that teach you?
Nothing. I learned nothing. You want to know why? Because that next week, I'll tell you what, when I learned something, it was the next weekend.
Let's hear it.
So the next weekend, we get to Friday. That race was on Saturday or Sunday. We get to Friday, and I'm literally, like, I haven't walked in, like, 3 days. I mean, like I didn't go to work. I didn't do nothing. I'm scrolling on the couch, on the phone, and I find a half marathon. And I'm like, dude, this is, like, 20 minutes away. I'm like, this is, like, when is it? And it's like, oh, it's tomorrow. All right, let's see if we can stand up. And I stand up. I'm like, I got it. Let's do it. So I signed up. And it's the very next day, literally 1 week after my 6 hour. It's an out and back. 6.5 out, 6.5 back. And
Hold on, I want to pause.
Yeah.
What is motivating you at this point? This is a very interesting mentality, and I want to tap into it for just a quick moment before we get to how this half marathon went.
Yeah.
Because most people are running towards something or running away from something. And I'm curious as for you in this moment of barely able to walk, there is something that is getting you up off of that couch that's motivating you to do this. What is it?
I just felt like in high school, like I was a nobody. Like I played baseball. I played basketball. Like, I wasn't good at anything. I went out for golf because I didn't want to run track. But that's besides the fact. So, like, I just, I wasn't really anybody. And I'm going to be honest, like, I was bullied. Actually, I'm not probably bullied. I was definitely bullied. Like, I just wasn't, I wasn't a cool kid. And the thing was, like, I moved from Arkansas, and, like, I dressed weird compared to everyone else and talked weird. And I was definitely bullied. And I think that like, mentality through the military, and, like, you go to basic training, and basic training ain't cool. Like, you're probably going to get the shit kicked out of you. You're going to get into fights, and, you have to navigate, learning to be friends with people from, all across the world and country and different types of people, and like you fight and you get the shit kicked out of you and you have all these issues. And, you know, so I think that like I just felt like at that time, like I was coming into who I am now, and I had something that I just had to prove. And I don't know who I had to prove it to, but probably to myself, you know, to myself that I was, you know, I was worth it. I was worthy. I was, you know, I was who I was about to say I was.
Totally.
And, you know, I think that that's what's driven me all the way to this point is just, you know, obviously we're way deeper now, and we'll dive into that as we get into it. But, you know, I am who I say I am. And I think that's when that mentality kind of started is I just had something to prove to everyone.
Thanks for sharing that, because I think that's helpful for a lot of people, because that makes a lot more sense to me now. Is that because I would say more often than not, talking to people on the show is that, and tapping into that exact topic, is that there's usually some sort of chip on the shoulder. There's usually something, right, deep, emotional that's sitting there that's like fueling the fire as to like why we're making these decisions to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
And so knowing about yourself, and not that it's a bad thing, right? It's just like the awareness around it, I think, is the most important part.
Yeah.
Because now that you have awareness around it, you can be comfortable with the aspect of like, no, that motivates me and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not necessarily a bad thing, but just being aware of it, I think, is important.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So half marathon, signed up.
Yeah, so signed up, ran out, 6.5 out. Life was good. I mean, it definitely was not good. Actually, I rolled up to that race. I had 2 knee braces. I had both of my. I had both of my.
They're like, go home. You're an idiot.
I had both of my knees were braced. I had KT tape. I had no idea how it worked. I was Googling that morning at 6 a.m. I'm like, how to KT tape my calf so it doesn't burst? I don't know. And wrapping up my ankle, like tape, like I don't know what I was doing. Like I'm just like, dude, like I'm gonna go do this thing. And made it to mile 10 and pop in my left knee. And like it was stuck. Like my knee was literally just stuck straight out. Like think about just keeping your leg straight and like walking and just dragging it. Like it was the oddest thing. It didn't really hurt. It was just stuck. And I took my shirt off. That was probably the first omen of moving to Austin, Texas, right there.
It's a sign.
I took my shirt off, tied it around my knee, and it took me an hour and a half to finish the next 3 miles. And my mom was over there on the side of the road because, like, this was a straight road. Or it was like a straight bike path, parallel to gravel road. My mom's like, get in the car. And I'm like, no, I'm going to finish this motherfucker. Like, I'm going crazy. I tapped into this, like, as soon as that happened, like I tapped into this mentality that like I like blacked out.
Your inner dog.
Like, yeah, I mean, you know, like this that's so stupid, but it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you just tap into this, which like if you're not an endurance athlete or like, you know, you haven't done this type of hard stuff, like you probably don't know what we're talking about. But
Pain cave.
yeah, and I'm like, no, no, I'm not. Like I will not get in that car. I was like, I will crawl my ass to that finish line, and I got to the finish line. And when I hit that finish line, like I knew like that was the, you know, where the question was, you're like, what did you learn from that? And I'm like, nothing from the 6-hour race. Where I learned everything was right there in that moment where like, no matter what, I had what it took to get it done. And that was the last race of 2020, my second ever race. And that right there, like that was, I needed to prove that to myself. Like I needed to prove to myself that I was something, you know, like I had something to offer. I had something to give, whether, you know, not to anybody else, to myself. And yeah, man, I love thinking about it. Like,
when did people start noticing you? Because you have a pretty decent presence now, just in like the digital fitness world, I guess you could say. When did that start?
January of 2022.
Okay.
So 2021, we can really fast forward through 2021. 2021, I got moved to Virginia. I found the trails. My life changed on those trails. All I did, I was not coached. All I did is I woke up in the morning and I ran a stupid amount of miles. It didn't matter. Like I didn't have a plan. Like I just ran. I woke up and I ran. And I went to work. After work, I would go lift at the gym. Didn't do it. I did the New York Triathlon, but it was a duathlon. Okay, I'm sorry. I did the New York Duathlon, so it was a bike run. So all you did was run, and then you biked, and then you ran. So I'd never done a triathlon. Did the New York Duathlon. Super cool. Did it on like a $30 Walmart bike. Got like 5th overall, and I was like, okay, this is sick. This is super sick. Did the Roman run, 20 miler through the trails. That was my first ever like legit like decently big race. Got like 6 overall. Racing in the mountains in Virginia. Like I love the trails. Competed for the Guard out there. Was up in Washington D.C. doing Spartan events, stuff like that. And then, like a pivotal point in my life is, I found BPN, Bear Performance Nutrition, based out of Round Rock, and I got into the BPN Marathon. And that was January of 2022. And that race set my world on fire. Coolest thing was I went down to BPN. That was where I met Nick Bear for the first time. Go up to Nick. I meet him. And by this point, like I'd done a lot of, I'd done more reading into Jocko and stuff like that. So like I really developed a very like, I'm this hard dude mentality in 2021 from just running. And really very much believe into like, I believe that if you speak it and you say it, like you are probably going to do it. Like you need to say that you're going to do these things. You need to tell yourself that you're going to do these things. You need to ride that fine line, whether it's in business, life, fitness, whatever, of arrogancy and confidentness. Like, and I am one confident mother. Like I am, like I have to be, because I whether I fail or succeed, I will do it in public. I promise you that. But I'm going to be confident the entire way. Walked in, met Nick, and I was like, he's like, what are you going to run tomorrow? I'm like, oh, dude, like I'm going sub 3. I'd never even ran a marathon at this point. I was like, dude, it's like, I'm going sub 3. And he's like, oh, yeah, by how much? And I'm like, 2:59:59. Literally turned around and walked away. And he was probably like, this guy's a fucking idiot. Like, dude, like I didn't train. Like I was just running trails. Like at this point, I lived in Virginia. Like all I was, like I had trail shoes. I was running an on like these junk on running sneakers, like the very version 1 of On, like they were rocks were stuck in them, like they weren't even trail shoes. I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just running like 70 miles a week on trails. Jesus. And shout out to BPM Marathon. Race starts, gun goes off. Fast forward through the marathon, we hit the finish line, 2:59:52.
Jesus, dude.
Boom, sub 3, 5th overall.
Were you tracking? Did you have a watch? Did you have any idea that you were even at this pace time?
Yeah. So I had a watch on, but like I didn't know how to pace myself. So I just picked out this tall, goofy looking dude and like ran. And like I was like, this guy looks like he ran. He's running pretty fast. And I ended up like I lined up with him and ran with him side by side, and we got to chatting. His name's Matt. He is a goofy dude, but I can call him a goofy dude. He's one of my. We're all right.
Yeah.
Don't think I'm mean, everybody.
Yeah.
So get with him, and here's where I talk about speaking things into existence. I line up with him, and we're running next to each other, and I'm like, hey, like, where are you? And he's like, I'm trying to go sub 3. I've never went sub 3 before. I'm like, okay, that's sick. He's like, yeah, every time that I get to mile 20, I blow up. And I'm like, okay, man. I'm like, well, I will carry you to, like, you carry me to 20, and I'll get you to 26. He's like, all right, let's do it. I didn't get him to 26. He blew up at 20. Blew up. Boom. Like, couldn't, like, was...
Well, he told himself.
Yeah, right there, right off the bat. He's like, yeah, I blew up at 20.
Yeah, when you say that, yeah, okay, you're gonna blow up at 20.
And that was like, dude, like that was like right when the race started. Like I found him and I ran with him, and he's like, nah, like I blow up at 20. And so, but after that, like with, that was kind of my stamp, like whether it's like, everyone was kind of like, man, like who is this guy? And 2022 was like, that was my year. Like I left BPN, got a little bit of followers. Like BPN had posted about me and like tagged me in a couple things. I went down there with like January of 2021. Nope, sorry, January of 2022, like 2,000 followers, maybe. And throughout that year, I mean, I don't know, 30 some K. Just.
What are you talking about? Why were people following? What made it blow up?
Okay, so January I did that marathon. February I had a phone call with Natasha Vandermeer, who owns NVDM Coaching. It's triathlon coaching. Had a call with her because she met me at the marathon, and she's like, dude, you would kill a triathlon. I'm like, okay, like whatever that is. Like, she was talking to me about like some Ironman. And I'm like, yeah, Natasha, like I was like, I've done a duathlon. She's like, no, like you gotta swim. She's like, can you swim? I'm like, no, I can't swim. She's like, well, an Ironman, this is like 2.4 miles. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I got it. Let's do it. So signed up with her in February, and then that was the first time I've like adequately started training. Had a coach, like, bro, I have no idea like how expensive that was either, man.
Yeah.
Like that was like, I mean, I was paying a shit ton of money for coaching a month, but like I had to buy a bike, I had to buy like everything, right?
Yep.
So outside of that, go into February. I ran the Des Moines half marathon and I won it, like 1:20, which really isn't like crazy fast. It's like a 6:05, 6:04 pace. Crazy fast for, runners.
Yeah.
March, I went down to Arkansas. No, I'm sorry, April. I think I took March off. No, I messed up. I took February off, started training. March, I won the marathon or the half marathon in Des Moines. April, I find this trail race. And now I'm back in Iowa. I haven't been on trails. And I found this trail race and I'm like, let's go. Like I'm going to go down there. It's down in Arkansas where I live, like where I grew up. Like I had been there as a kid. And I'm like, dude, like I'm going to go back there and I'm going to smash those kids. Like that's my place. And went out there on triathlon training only, where like now my miles are like 30 a week. Out in Virginia in 21, I was running like 70. And pure bike, swim training, all of that. I went out and I set the course record. I won by a half hour. And yeah, I finished, and the guy that finished behind me was like 100-mile winner, and he finished a half hour after me.
Good God.
Like they did this little, like they gave me the trophy, they took pictures, I hung around, I ate, and I left, and I never even saw him finish. And like it was just, like, and at that point, like I'm just like, dude, like where has this been my whole life? You know, like, and now I have like structured coaching. I'm like, this is super sick. Like, let's do this. Go into May. I think I'm just training. I got Ironman in June. Mind you, I couldn't swim. Remember back in February, I couldn't swim. And shout out to Natasha, because Natasha and Coach Mike with NVDM got me squared away, and I swam a 72-minute Ironman. So I went from not being able to swim 25 yards to swimming 1 hour and 12 minutes at 2.4 miles, which is just crazy nuts. Did Ironman Des Moines, and I went 9th overall in my age group, which is nuts. Like I missed qualifying for the world championship by 1 slot.
Good God.
In my first Ironman. Like I threw down in that race, and I got sick. I got sicker than hell on the bike. Like it was a terrible race, but man, I gave it everything I got. Ended up going like 10:58 or something like that. 10 hours, 58 minutes. And
you obviously have a proclivity for this endurance stuff. Do you follow Ken Rideout? Have you heard that name yet?
Yeah, I've heard that name, but I don't know.
He just reminds me a lot of you. He just has that inner dog mentality of like a guy that just gets in the zone and doesn't quit, and has like just the mental fortitude that's far beyond most people.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like so much of what you're talking about is just like, yes, there's probably you have a bit of a proclivity to it, but the other aspect of it of like, you've learned how to tap into that dark side that's often talked about, of like really leaning into those challenging moments. Yeah.
And I was going, like, don't get me wrong. Like like military, like trying to find the balance. Like I was going through some shit, I was going through some stuff, starting around that May, June timeframe during Ironman. And, it wasn't easy, but, fitness has been my outlet. Like my life has not been easy, and, it is, no one has an easy life. Like, so I'm not saying nothing here. I'm just saying that like I used fitness as my outlet.
Totally.
And, so moving on into, that was June. July, I come up with this crazy idea. I'm just at the gym. I'm just chilling out. See, this is my problem. This is probably like my toxic side here. It's like I can't just chill out. So we forgot to talk about, it's like this can maybe go into but I need to talk about this before I talk about the charity run. I used to, like, before we got moved out to, like when we moved back to Iowa back in the day, I started racing go-karts. I was really good at it, like on dirt in circles, racing go-karts. Like I was ranked like top 10 in like Speed Sport magazine at go-kart racing. And graduated on, started racing sprint cars, which are these like dirt cars that have like wings on top of them. And, like you go 100 some miles an hour in a circle on dirt. Like and like you, like people professionally do this. Like as a full-time job.
Hmm.
And I'm showing Corey a video here for.
Oh yeah, I've
you
seen
guys.
these.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's a dirt circle track, and those things like freaking slide around the corners, basically.
yeah, absolutely. Like you're locked in.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I did that before we got stationed in Virginia. So I raced at Knoxville Raceway full time, did it for like 3 years with the big dogs. And then we got stationed in Virginia. I had to sell my stuff. But on Twitter, I built up this big feed of, sprint car fans. Big fans, we sold t-shirts, and it's like a whole second life I lived, and it doesn't even feel real anymore, so I don't talk about it a lot. But I put this idea out on Twitter because I know that race fans, they love to do cool stuff and donate to cool stuff. And I put this idea out on Twitter this is after Ironman in June. This is late June. This is 2 weeks after Ironman. I'm like, if I was to carry the American flag from Des Moines, Iowa to Knoxville, Iowa to raise money for veterans, who would donate? And by the end of the day, I had $2,000 in my Venmo. And I was like, oh, shit.
Now you got to do it.
I was like, I have to do this.
How far is that?
It ended up being 40 miles on the dot.
Okay.
Mind you, I had never ran over 30. So I didn't know what 40 looked like because I ran a 50K. I ran 31.
Yep.
So get to the run, carrying the American flag, ran from Des Moines, ran to Knoxville Raceway where I used to race at, and raised $13,000 for a local veterans charity.
Damn, well done.
And yeah, that was the highlight of my year. So yeah, cool stuff happened there. Now we get into the big one. It was about 2 weeks after that, I get a phone call, and I answer it. It's from a Colorado number. And I'm like, hello? They're like, hey, is this Matt Johnson? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, hey, this is so-and-so. We saw that you raised money for a charity. We're a charity based out of where they're based out of. Do you want to run the Leadville 100? We had a runner get hurt. And I'm pretty sure I hung up on him. I'm pretty sure I just clicked it because the only time I've ever heard about the Leadville 100 was watching Nick Bear's video. I didn't know what the hell. It's 100 miles through the mountains. That's all I know.
Right.
And then they called me back, and I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, got disconnected. And I'm sitting in my truck, I'm sweating. I'm like, because I mean,
because you know what they wanted. Were you afraid of it?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I didn't I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'm like me running the Leadville 100,
Yeah.
and she's like, take some time to think on it. It is what it is. I'm like, okay. So I took some time to think on it. By some time, I called her back in about 5 minutes.
I was gonna say you didn't freaking think about it. Are you kidding me? That's not your MO.
So I called her back, and I'm like, I'm in. Whatever it is, whatever, I'm in. So at this point, we're 29 days out from the Leadville 100. The Leadville 100, for all of you watching this, is pretty much like the Super Bowl of ultras.
Yeah.
If you're anybody that's anybody, you're running the Leadville 100. If you're 2022 Matt Johnson, you probably should have stayed your ass on the couch. So we get out to Leadville. No, I mean, by this point, I had ran the 40, but at this point, I didn't have enough time. When it comes down to running, you have to, you build up, and then you have a peak week, and then you taper, and then you rest, and I didn't have that time. I had 29 days.
Yeah.
And so I went and I did a 30-mile run. I'm like, okay, we're good. Flat Iowa, no type of incline anywhere. We're going to Leadville. And I kind of forgot that Leadville, Colorado, you guys, is at 10,000 feet. And I just really didn't think about that. So I get out there and I do my first shakeout run. You do the shakeout run before the race. This is Wednesday. And I get out there and I do a shakeout run at a normal, very slow pace for me, which is, 9-10 minutes. My heart rate is 195, which for any of you out there, my normal heart rate at that pace would probably be 120s.
Damn.
Maybe 120s. My heart rate's 195.
Damn.
And so then that's Wednesday. Thursday I do a shakeout. The heart rate's 175. And I'm like, okay. Friday I do another shakeout, same distance, 5K every day. Just to get the legs flowing and, maybe get this acclimation. And 160s. I'm like, okay, this is all right. But where I knew that I was in the shit deeper than I thought I was like ever going to be was we went out to Twin Lakes, which is there's a big lake. It's about at the 25, 30 mile marker. It's a town. This town is literally based off of the Leadville 100. They live for the Leadville 100. That's where they make all of their money. This town is tiny. It's right next to a lake. Like the Leadville 100 is what they live for. Party. Like it was a huge party when I ran through there. Anyways, I go to the gas station. And go to the gas station in Twin Lakes. Right? Yeah, shirt on there for sure, man. It was cold. Yeah. And no more shirts now. I'm gonna go out to Leadville, no shirt this year. And get out there, and we're standing there, and like if you guys can picture, like I'm looking at the lady behind the counter, and there's this massive window, like the entire wall is a window, and obviously it's Colorado. You see mountains, and there's some huge mountain back there. And she's like, "Oh, are you running the Leadville 100? This weekend?" I think this was actually Thursday, because I don't remember her saying tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah, I am. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. She turns around, she points to this mountain. She's like, that's Hope's Pass. And I'm like, fuck. Like, what? Like, and this is, like, Corey, like, I'm looking at this mountain. Like this mountain's way out there and way up there. And, like, Hope's Pass is, like, it's the tallest point. It's like 13,000 feet. Mm. And at that point, I'm like, dude, like, maybe I should go home. Like I mean, it was terrifying. Like the entire process was scary. And I'm not gonna lie, man, like I was terrified for my life. I was scared. And I'm not afraid to tell anyone that, but like going fast forward, like towing that start line, man, I feel like I was going to war.
Oh my gosh.
Like I was like hugging my little brother, and like I'm like, man, like see ya if I see ya, bro. Like here we go.
Because can you get like airlifted out of there? Like how is
Yeah, but like, dude, like I mean, only like 20% of the people that start the Leadville 100 finish the Leadville 100.
Damn.
It's brutal, man. Like I'm telling you, I'm ready to go back. I'm excited to go back, but like I'm fucking terrified.
20%. That's way lower than what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, like it's brutal out there, and like I said in that we made this little short docu this week. Like I said in that docu, like no one will understand what the Leadville 100 is until you go to Leadville and you do it. Mm. Like I can't even explain. It just sucks. It's a beautiful race. It's a beautiful place. Everyone out there is welcoming. It's awesome. But the race is hard, and the race will literally chew you up and spit you out. And that's what it did to me, because I took off at an 8:01 pace. That was my first mile, was 8:01.
Why would you do that?
I don't know, man. Like they did this ceremony, and then they had this shotgun, and it was 4 a.m. and they're like, they're like, boom, and they're like, go, and you have all these headlamps, and you're running downhill, and it was beautiful.
It was exciting.
Like it was so cool. And I mean, don't get me, like it was great. Like I loved every minute of that race. I did not finish it. We'll get into that. I did not finish the race, but man, I learned so much about myself. Like Leadville changed me. Leadville set me up for like who I'm about to be, like who I have become. Leadville was like, I look at August and I'm like, man, like that was a hardcore turning point, which for like a lot of things that we already talked about, that we're going to dive into. But like August in the Leadville 100, man, like that, not finishing that race was the best thing to ever happen to me.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I mean, for sure. Like, okay, so we'll dive into it. I go out. I ended up, we did 56 miles. We went up Hope's Pass. Life was crazy. Hope's Pass is just as tall as everyone says it is. Get over Hope's Pass, come back over, get into Twin Lakes. I'm at 56 miles. I sit down. I can't stand up. Like I physically can't stand up. My brother has to like literally pick me up and stand me up. We won't have a lot of time to dive into all that crazy stuff, but I walked the next 31 miles because I couldn't run. Hallucinating, malnutrient, like no food, no water. Like I'm just, I mean, I knew how to do it. I just didn't do it right.
Totally.
And I didn't really have time to prepare to do it right. I had 29 days, like 100 miles is a lot of logistics to plan for. And so made it to May Queen at 27 hours. It's like a Pac-Man cutoff. Like the cutoff is always chasing you. And made it to May Queen, and I missed my cutoff time. Long story short, got in the truck. We went home. not really much more to it.
What do you think is the biggest thing you learned from the Leadville 100 that you now carry today?
That you define failure. 100%. No matter what happens in life, you define whether you failed or not.
So you feel like because you literally gave it every last ounce that you had, that it wasn't necessarily a failure?
Yeah, I did not like I did not fail. Now, don't get me wrong. When I got back to the Airbnb that morning, like I was beat up, like I was upset. But moving forward, driving home and having that, that 10 to 12 hour drive home, like I didn't fail, man. I'm like I learned so much. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about, my love for life and my love for the outdoors. And I remember stopping at the top of Hope's Pass, the tallest point of the race, and thinking like, I will never be this close to the sky again in the rest of my life. I mean, that's crazy. Like I was in tears up there, like it was beautiful. It was a great thing. And I think that not finishing that race taught me and it forced me to learn so much more about the endurance space and about the sport and about the respect for what the hell those people go through doing that. And we're going back.
Yeah, that's coming up, right?
Yes. August 19th. So we're almost 3 months out.
And you're pretty confident you're going to finish
2
this time?
months out. We're almost 2 months out.
You confident?
Yeah, I'm going to finish the race. I mean, like you already know, we haven't even got to that point yet, but I'm pretty fucked up right now. But yeah, there's no other option. Like I have it down. Training has been a lot different, but yeah, I'm gonna finish that one. I'm gonna knock it off.
Well, crazy, man. That's such a crazy story. And
I didn't have anything else the rest of the year because I ended up displacing a rib when I fell. So we can literally fast forward to 2023 because all I did the rest of the year that year was I got into CrossFit. I could barely breathe. I had to go to physical therapy. I fell during Leadville, hit a rock, displaced a rib, x-rays, MRIs. So my September, October, November, December was all CrossFit.
Damn. Which leads us to, I know you've talked about it on the other podcast show, so we probably don't have to cover the whole story, but which leads us to then, that's the second time you did the BPN marathon, and then also... was
the BPN marathon, was that in No, that was, okay, so nothing in January either.
Right. And
then that led me into February for the BPN Athlete Ambassador Weekend.
Which you won.
Well, no, that was the weekend when I just randomly came down and everyone talked me into doing the Austin half marathon. And I wasn't even signed up. Now, mind you, I haven't done any, like that was my first race since Leadville. And I came down with like no training and everyone's like, dude, you should run the Austin half. So I ran the Austin half and I went like 1:23, which is stupid fast. It's so hard. That's the hardest half marathon I've ever done in my life.
It's very hilly.
I'm pretty sure, I can't really remember, but I think now living here, I think you start on South Congress by the Capitol.
Yep.
And you run up South Congress to the interstate. So if anyone that lives here, think about literally running at a 6-minute pace from the Capitol all the way up South Congress to the interstate. I went 1:23. That was all right. I mean, whatever. Like, I wanted to go sub 1:20, and like, I just wanted to be this hard dude that just randomly popped out this half. But, and I got home and shit went crazy.
Is that okay? So then when was the BPN one then?
Marathon was, I had already moved down here.
Okay.
So that next weekend, I jumped ship and said, here we go. We're going to Austin. Okay. The weekend after the Austin Marathon.
Yeah.
And so then the BPN Marathon was in April because I did the 2 events back to back.
Okay. Crazy, man. Your endurance endeavors are honestly completely out of this world. You are.
I know. I hope that people are like still listening right now. Like
no, you're great.
Hearing all of this crazy stuff. Probably like, wow, this guy never stops. Cool. Next.
No. No, it's phenomenal, and I think there's just so many lessons to be learned from it, which is kind of where I want to kind of wrap some of this stuff up now in terms of like, because now you're coaching, correct?
Yes.
And is that because of essentially all the endurance stuff that you've done, and now people have been reaching out to you and they're like, hey man, like, how are you doing this shit? And then they've tapped into you?
Yeah, I started to make the exit from the military in February around that same time. And I knew, like, we'd already talked, like, I didn't want to work another 9 to 5. And, I had been coaching for about a year at this point, but, like, just friends, I had a couple athletes pay me $100 here and there, $50, $20, $5. I don't know. You know, like I was just trying to, I just wanted to help people. Like I knew that I wanted to help people, and I've always been a teacher. Like I've always liked to, you know, because there was no one there to teach me in anything, you know, like, and I think that that's another thing, you know, like diving back into my mom, you know, being a single mom, like she did everything she could for me and taught me everything I know now. But like truly, like in life, like there was a lot of things I had to teach myself. And, you know, even in the endurance sport, you know, I didn't have a coach for years. And, you know, it gave me a true love on, you know, wanting to help and teach others is, I think, you know, kind of where that happened. So, yeah, made the exit from the military in February. And I think that brings us to the next part.
So yeah, this is something that we just wanted to cover real quick because like we definitely share this.
Yeah, for sure.
In dealing with difficult.
You shared it.
Yeah, dealing with difficult relationships and how that shows up in our life today. And because like the brief story, I don't want to give people too much of before we started recording of. There was literally a moment where you just packed up everything and moved straight down to Austin.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, just given a little bit of context, you know, every relationship has its issues, and we definitely had our issues. You know, I did some, you know, not everyone's perfect. I did some non-perfect things. She did some non-perfect things. You know, nothing too crazy, but we just started growing apart. And, you know, I wasn't expecting a divorce. When I got home, I was traveling a lot for races and stuff like that. And I got home from the Austin Marathon, and she's, you know, hey, we're done. I'm like, okay. So I fought it for a week, and, you know, tried the best I could to, you know, try to keep it together, and it just wasn't going to work out. So I had a buddy down here in Austin. And at this point, you know, like, just, you know, for reference, like I wasn't running from anything. I tried that entire week to try to, you know, do whatever we like, what can we do to fix this? Like, and it didn't work, and that's okay. You know, like I said, like we were both young when we met, and we were together for like 6 years, and, you know, taught me a lot of valuable lessons, and there's no malice in my heart. There's no hard feelings either way. But, you know, got to that point where I'm like, dude, I'm out of the military. Like, I'm obviously getting a divorce. I'm like, you know, that's when I knew right then and there, like we had already talked about, I think, before we started recording, where it's like, I can do whatever I want. You know, do I want to stay here and stay in this simplistic mentality of working a 9 to 5 and staying in this cold ass state? Or do I want to go to Austin, Texas and put on my cowboy hat and go run in the heat and not wear a shirt at the gas station?
That's right, brother.
So I packed up my stuff. I had a friend that was down here in an Airbnb, another online coach that was at the marathon, Harrison, and I called him. I'm like, dude, you ain't going to believe it, but I'm getting a divorce and I'm coming to Austin. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, long story short, I'll tell you when I get there in 17 hours. And I loaded up the dog. I loaded up whatever I had. I mean, shit, like the only thing I took from the house is I took a Google Home and I think I took a coffee maker. I love coffee.
Same. I would have done the same.
So I think, yeah, and that's it. And I told her, I was like, all right, like, you know, you can have everything else. And I was like, I don't need it. I grabbed clothes, grabbed that stuff, grabbed my medals, grabbed my race shoes, everything I needed to train. And, you know, I fought the good fight, and I lost. And I said, okay, like, you know, you can either sit down and let this kick the shit out of you and destroy you mentally, physically, emotionally, everything, or you can suck it up and go figure it out. And I was not going to let that destroy me. I mean, people go through a traumatic life event like that because it is traumatic, and they'll kill themselves. You know, I mean, people will literally, like, people will put themselves into such a big depression where they can't understand the left from right, and they'll fucking kill themselves. And, you know, that's something that, you know, you can make it out of anything. Like, you just need to take it day by day and just, you know, take one step each day, with one foot in front of the other, and just choose one good thing that day. Because I tell you, I got to Austin and my life sucked. Like, you know, I was living in an Airbnb with another guy, like that, like, I mean, not live, like at that point, we're just like, I'm just trying to survive, you know, and can't sleep at night. Like, you know, I mean, I was taking melatonin, I was drinking beers, I was doing whatever I could to sleep. You know, you dream, like it's a traumatic event. And, you know, luckily I had someone there for me. I leaned on others and I told my story to anyone that would listen. And, you know, doing that brought me out of that dark place. I don't believe in sitting with your stuff. Like, I don't believe in, you know, yeah, there's times where you need to sit with your own shit and sit in your head, but like, you need to also share. You need to communicate with other human beings, because whether you believe it or not, you might think you're in the worst situation in the entire world. Someone out there has it worse than you. I promise you that. And just share, man. If any of you guys out there are like going through, you know, something hard, I promise you, man, there's light at the end of the tunnel, because the next 3 months, February, March, April, May, man, those were the, like, oh, man, we'll get into that too, but like, that was the best time of my life. Like, just things that happened, and you know, and I'm living a good life. Like, I'm living a good life now. And, you know, that's March, April, May, June. We're 5 months. I mean, it's been 5 months. And I can't imagine, like, I can't imagine if, and I hate to like lean on the fact that like people taking their own life, but I experienced that a lot. I experienced that. I don't want to say a lot. I did experience that with a friend, and who took his own life over a girlfriend. He was 18 years old. You know, I mean, so that, I kind of lean on that. And, you know, people get in this crazy place in their head where, you know, like I just said, like, they can't think left and right. They can't understand it. And, you know, I was just trying to do anything I could to stay out of that. I had my bad days. I fought my demons. And, you know, I had a very rough month. But as soon as I was able to like face those demons and lean on my friends and train and run and enjoy Austin, Texas, like, I'm living, this is like, these last 2 months have been the best months of my entire life. Self-growth, you know, the growth within my coaching, you know, business opportunities, networking with others, working from rooftop pools in Austin, Texas. Like, come on, man. Like, you know, dude, I used to go drink beer in a cornfield, and now I'm coaching, I'm online coaching clients that I adore from a rooftop pool on South Congress. What the world? like, you know, like,
perspective.
Yeah, you know, like life will get better.
Yeah.
And you just got to take it day by day by day.
I think it's the pendulum effect, right? Is like, I think that's just like a really important reminder for a lot of people, is that so often when we swing the pendulum very, very, very hard in that other direction of like pain, suffering, and a divorce that you went through and all the challenges that come with that, is that you just wait for the ride to shift back into the opposite direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can weather the storm.
You can. Right. Everyone can weather the storm. You just have to tell yourself that you can.
Totally.
And man, like, it's hard. Like, I can't explain how hard it is. Like, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through.
Totally.
And I just said the same thing. I can't explain it. But like, you can. Like, I am proof right there that like, I've never been that low. I've never had the thoughts that I had in my head during that time frame. But here we are a mere 4 months later, and I'm living the best time of my life. Just so all of you know, this happened in February. In April, I decided to run the BPN Marathon, and I won it. And then 6 days later, I did Ironman Texas, where I PR'd the Ironman, which means personal record, which means I ran the Ironman faster than I ever ran it in my entire life. And I did that in the same week. I would have never known that I was capable of that if I would have never made it through that traumatic event.
Totally.
One foot in front of the other, baby.
The pendulum swing, my friend, I have, which takes us to today, where I have 10 rapid fire questions for you.
Boom.
What's your best business advice?
My best business advice is to be yourself. And when you push things onto others, make sure that you've experienced it first. So any ideas, anything that anything you've been through, if you're going to give someone that idea, make sure that you've experienced it yourself. I don't like it when someone tries to tell me about something or to do something when they've never done it themselves. As a coach, I will never coach an athlete if I have not done it myself.
Love that mentality, man. What's your favorite part about entrepreneurship?
Networking.
Ooh.
100%. I love meeting people, especially coming from the cornfields, small little cornfields, I spent my life talking to the corn. And now, it's super cool to, just be around Austin and like run into like random people like we just did right here. And I'm like, I'm coming to your gym. Like I'm coming to your gym. I will support your gym. I will support you. You're in here with Corey. Like, I know you're a good dude. Like, I love that.
Shout out to Tanner. What's your best marketing advice?
Whenever you do something, tell people that you did it. So
document.
100%. I did the Ironman. I did the marathon back to back. I won the marathon. I won the Ironman. I gained in the 2 days after that, I gained over 15 clients in those 2 days. Because I said, hey, I did it. Like, hey, look, this is what I did. I won the marathon. I did the Ironman back to back, same week, 6 days. And people are like, wow, like this is that guy. Like, why, I want him to coach me. And, so when you, document everything you do.
Who is your inspiration?
Is there another question on who my hero is?
You can go with that one.
My mother, 100%. My mom's my hero. My mom's my inspiration. Watching her, like we've already talked about on this podcast, watching her grind her ass off. She sat there at the dinner table and watched me eat while she didn't. And, also, also big shout out and thanks to my father that's out there who was never there for me, because I'm going to be the best dad one day just because you were never there.
Love that, brother. When are you the most productive?
That's a tough one. That was the hardest one. When am I most productive? I'm probably most productive after a long run. Like after a long run, I don't know, man. Like, I have like severe, I'm not going to like say I have ADD or ADHD, but like I'm just off the walls. I'm most productive in the mornings. There you go.
It's why you get along with Ash so well. You guys just have all that extra energy.
Exactly.
Well, tell me one secret about you or something most people don't know about you.
Man, we already dove into that, but definitely the sprint car racing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most people like
For
no
sure.
one.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. No one knows that, and like when people find that out, they're like, "Holy shit! Like, that's crazy."
What's your favorite app or resource right now?
My favorite app or resource. Oh goodness. I just started with Whoop.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
Yeah. So Whoop sent me a device. It's super cool. It tracks my sleep. My Garmin's been off. My Garmin has had it's like, congratulations, you slept for 2 hours last night. And I don't know what's going on. It's like the fancy $1,200 watch. So I had posted about that. Whoop sent me this. They gave me like a 3-month trial to get me through Leadville. It allows me to see like my recovery, all of that. So yeah, I'm loving the Whoop.
Perks to doing the Leadville. Anybody else out there? If you want a free Whoop.
Yes. If you want 3 months free from Whoop, do the Leadville 100.
Just commit to the Leadville. What's your favorite part about Austin and you can't say the people? My
favorite part about Austin is that there is always something going on and there's a group for everything. That's what I love. If it doesn't matter if it's running, if it's weightlifting, if it's underwater basket weaving, you will find a group here in Austin. I promise you that. If you have a hobby and you want to do that hobby every day with others, come to Austin, Texas.
I have no interest in underwater basket weaving.
Hey, man, there's like people that are like throwing torpedoes underwater and stuff like that right now. So the underwater thing is blowing up.
I have one last question. Before I ask that question, though, I want to acknowledge you, man, for so many things, for going through the challenges of getting through a divorce, which I can resonate a lot, for committing to doing those challenging things, regardless of having no thought process behind them whatsoever and still committing either way, for coming to Austin and being a dope dude and building a lot of awesome connections and community here in town. And from most importantly, probably of all, of inspiring others to just like go after the things that they want. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly believe through it all, if I can inspire one person, man, like that's what I was put on this earth to do, is just, show people that I wasn't meant to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be that guy. I could have stayed in the military for 20 years. I could have stayed in Iowa. Could have stayed comfortable. Could have lived the life with a white picket fence, and, ain't going to happen. I got things to do. I got miles to chase.
We're grateful for it, brother.
I appreciate you.
What's your plug? So it's Matt Johnson 2 underscores? Right?
Yeah, it's kind of odd, but yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. I made it.
You're stuck.
And Instagram was like, this is like 2011, 2012. I'm just like, yeah, Matt Johnson 2 underscores. Now I tell people that, and I'm like, man, like that kind of sucks.
It's too late, bro.
Can I like buy like a new handle or something like that?
Forward it to my other one. I don't know.
Yeah.
So my last question is really, it's whatever your best piece of advice is. And so like, if you were to start over from all this crazy endeavors of endurance races or reading the book that changed your life, or really to go back to ground zero and give the old Matt a piece of advice, what would you tell him?
Start now, eat healthy, be healthy, and start now. If you want to do something, you're putting it off because you're scared, and you should be scared, because if you ever enter any type of situation in your life where you're not scared, you're not going to grow. And if I could go back to high school and tell myself, I would say, like, you need, like, I mean, we all eat like crap in high school, but like that's a big thing that I think about, is I'm like, man, how much better could I be if I would have just, not had McDonald's all the time. And yeah, it's take the chance, take the risk. Like, if you're putting something off, do it. Like, what's the worst going to happen? You're going to fail. Like, oh, I get the call for Leadville. Hey, 29 days, let's get it. Okay, what's the worst going to happen? I don't finish. Oh shit, didn't finish. Better do it again.
Right.
Just do it. If you're thinking about it, you want to do it, do it. You want to start a business, do it. You want to coach athletes, do it. You want to, just go do it, man. Like, don't be afraid. We don't have time to be afraid. Like, I mean, what? I don't have time on this earth. My day might be up tomorrow. And this might be the last podcast I ever do. I don't know.
I always think about, to circle back to Nick Bear real quick, about just like sign up for the thing. I remember him talking about that at one point, and I think there's so much truth to that, of like whatever it is, of just like sign up for the thing, whether it's like register the LLC or sign up for the race or whatever, name your thing, because like something happens when you just like sign the thing or sign up for the thing. Is like you just start moving in the direction.
Well, and you're invested in it, right?
Totally.
So like, same thing as coaching. If someone wants to be coached, they're going to pay that money. They're going to be more invested. If I coach you for free, are you going to be just as invested as if I'm charging you $200 a month? No, you're not. I have plenty of athletes, friends that I coach for free that slack off. They won't do it. Or, oh yeah, sorry man, like life got busy. And then I have people that are paying me, a couple $100 a month that I'm talking to every day. They're talking to me every single day. They're so committed because they're invested. 100%. Like, you have to be invested. You have to invest in it. So do it, yes, because you're investing. Sign up for it. If you want to do a marathon, sign up for the marathon. Think about it later. Shoot first, ask questions after. 100% my motto. Like, just throw it down and see what happens.
Matt Johnson, send it. Thanks for being on the show, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Hey friend, thanks for listening to the show, and if you have any feedback for me about the show or any other guests that you'd want to see in the show, definitely shoot me a message. I love engaging with my audience and figuring out how I can provide the best value possible to the people listening to this show. Before you go, I only have one ask of you, and that would be to check out my 3 Tips Tuesday newsletter. It's 3 marketing tips every Tuesday specifically for the health and fitness entrepreneur to help them attract new leads. If you press the link in the description, it'll take you directly to the archive of all my previous newsletters, and you can decide for yourself if it's something for you. If you end up finding it helpful, you can just sign up for the newsletter and you'll get it in your inbox every Tuesday. Thanks again, and keep hustling, my friends.